Well, 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 it is that time again, Linda Steele. Here we are gathering in our studios. A week ago, we were having a moment where we were like, whoa.
We were having a moment about Donald Trump, and I'm a little bit sorry, but I was enjoying his being indicted a little too much. So was the person who made this video, which I greatly enjoyed.
I'm so indicted, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to go to jail, and I don't like it.
This is the part I like.
This is our favorite part. This is the part where Linda and I are feeling it.
I shouldn't laugh because that's how I dance too. Like,
you're a little bit Elaine on Seinfeld. It's great. A couple of covers I wanted to show off right off the top of the show here before we dive into our hot headlines. Time magazine. This might be my favorite of all time because doesn't it just scream Donald Trump without actually saying anything, and then unprecedented period.
Yeah.
And then there's the cover of New Yorker magazine. This is the first time ever that a courtroom sketch has been used as the cover of the magazine. These are unprecedented times for sure.
And even in Vancouver at the Penthouse, the Marquee always had something funny. They're jumping in on it. We know all about the hush money.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people have been talking about Donald Trump. I'm pretty sure we'll all be entirely sick of it soon, but there's a whole bunch of other indictments coming, and we might need to have a drink.
Let's have our drink. Let's pour of the week. It is
From
time.
Cascadia
Liquor. Hello. They're speaking my language, people. Surf's up with the White Claw Surf. This is the one we're drinking today is the Citrus Yuzu Smash. Say that 10 times fast.
Smash. It sounds like you've already had a few.
Smash. No, I'm gonna though.
Is that vodka in there?
It is a vodka drink. It's 5%, and it is 1 gram of sugar because I'm just.
She's
leaning out on the sugar.
It's good to get the sugar out of your life. So thank you very much,
sleep.
Cascadia. Make sure locally owned and operated.
Look for the bear.
Premium products and big selections. So thank you very
high
much,
end.
Cascadia.
Very high end. We enjoy that. And if you're looking at your weekend and you're thinking, guys, got a nice long weekend, gonna celebrate, gonna have the family over, you can have it delivered.
That's true.
Have it delivered.
More about that later.
Yes.
You might need a drink because there's just been so much stuff going on. Did you see the trans protest?
Yes.
It happened on Friday. Here's a little bit of video of this. So it was supposed to be, yikes, it was supposed to be a celebration of the trans community, but there was one guy in particular who decided to show up and be a rabble-rouser. His name is Billboard Chris, he goes by, and he calls himself a children's rights advocate. Anyway, he was there to cause trouble, and
he needs to calm down. He needs to calm down. There's freedom, and then there's intolerance. This man, I've been watching the Twitter feed, and he actually took a picture of one of my tweets that I had the transgender symbol, like Awareness Day, like inclusivity, acceptance, talking about it. And he wasn't coming at me, but he was coming at a VPD officer who was spotted. We'll talk about it more on the show, but coming up in the next segment. But this individual, like minute to minute to minute to minute coming after somebody, you just got to check yourself, man. Just step off.
Chill out, let it go. We are also going to have on the show someone who is a Vancouver male model, a trans male model named Crow Kien, who is making headlines. He's a star of a documentary called Crow's Transformation. This is going to be interesting just because it's an interesting story writ large, but also because it's good to get his opinion on what we're seeing.
We're also going to talk about the NHL in a way that, again, once again, I'm going to ask where's Gary Bettman? Because the intolerance, the war crime association with the National Hockey League. Those are words I never thought I'd say all in a row.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of Russian stars who won't say anything to kind of slap down Putin for invading Ukraine. And there's Ovechkin, and he is arguably one of the biggest stars in the NHL who said diddly squat. And the NHL has kind of allowed it to be this association that's distasteful, and we should all be concerned about it. And we are going to talk to
Dr. Mark Kirsten.
Professor. He's a criminology professor named Mark Kirsten. He is with the University of the Fraser Valley, and that is going to be a fascinating conversation.
That's all coming up on the show. But first, we got to bring you
hot headlines. Yeah, we're going to start with a sad one. Is a man that we both had a little bit of,
connection to.
Yeah,
He's
Red
my uncle.
Robinson.
He's my uncle through my uncle Steve, who's my actual uncle by blood uncle. Verlac and Robinson were an ad agency. So I grew up calling Red Robinson Uncle Red.
And he was one of Canada's top most revered DJs who interviewed people like Elvis,
the
and
Beatles,
Buddy Holly.
Oh my gosh.
Passed away at the age of 86.
Yeah.
I had one opportunity to share a mic with Red.
That was so great.
And we went back and talked about when the Beatles performed in Vancouver in the 60s.
That was one of my favorite all-time interviews that you've ever
Well,
done, and you've done a lot.
He was pretty awesome.
You took us back on a journey. He was masterful at that, and he was such a great supporter of young broadcasters. It wasn't even about journalism. It wasn't just about rock radio. It wasn't just about music. It was about being a broadcaster.
Oh, he loved it.
Loved it. He loved radio.
Right up until the very end.
Right up until the very, very end. Red Robinson.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
We do need to talk about something that impacts almost all of us, if you have a cell phone, internet, and that is the fact that despite all the concerns, the government has said, all right, go ahead, Shaw and Rogers, you can merge. And the minister responsible is saying, I'll make sure that these, fulfill these obligations. And I'm saying, I think you said, how is this going to make our bills cheaper? And I'm like, spoiler alert, it is not.
It is not.
It is a mistake.
It's ridiculous. Honestly, we were promised years ago. This is one of those things when we talk about politicians and politics and the promises that are made by politicians, and we lose faith in the whole process. I will ensure, if I'm elected, I will ensure that Canadians are no longer the most, expensive telecom Wi-Fi. It's a human right to have access.
When is that going to be? Yeah, the Prime Minister said, I think in 2019, your bills are coming down and I'll get on it, and he didn't.
It might even have been 2015.
Let's talk about another, it might have been,
2023.
Right? Let's talk about another politician, former politician, John Horgan, our former premier. I did not have this on my bingo
list. I didn't have this on my bingo card either. I was a little bit surprised.
He has decided to go to work with big coal.
Yep.
Now, it's the metallurgical kind of coal that's used to make steel.
Yep.
But still, people are saying, really? So that's interesting from a premier. Do you remember when he famously said, I will use every tool in the tool belt to stop the Trans Mountain Pipeline?
Yes.
But now I'm going to work with the big coal.
So he's going to sit on the board. And then there's the other side of the argument that's like, you know what? He can do whatever he wants, and that is still a business that is a viable business that's necessary and what have you. But the optics are really something.
Yeah.
Like, that's what surprised me. Because I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, because I don't want anybody telling me what to do. But at the same time, I thought, that's a pivot. That was...
Yeah, but I'm sure he can justify it.
In a statement, former Premier Horgan basically said, I am no longer in the business
of
caring
I don't care what you think.
What everybody else thinks.
Right?
So there is that.
The VPD have had a really tough go of it lately. We just showed you the trans rally violence. Well, then there was the decampment of the tent city on East Hastings.
I feel for the police here.
I do too.
Because a decision made by Vancouver Mayor, who, by the way, all signals point to the fact that he will be joining us in studio. Ken Sim in studio next Thursday. Mark it on your calendar.
Looking forward to that.
Yep.
Yeah, this is tough because it's no win. Nobody wins.
No.
The police don't win. The city doesn't win. The homeless people certainly don't win because they still don't have anywhere to go. However, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, but I do feel like the people who were affected by this sort of decampment yesterday were apparently the ones who were the holdouts saying, I don't care what you offer me in terms of housing. I am not going anywhere. So
I'll give you my opinion in the next segment because I want to get to this next thing because I think it's super cool. A Canadian astronaut.
Going to the moon.
Going to the moon. This is so exciting.
Yeah, this guy is, this is Colonel Jeremy Hansen. And what is amazing.
Hansen or handsome?
Handsome man. Yeah, well, it was funny because there was a headline pointing out that he is a very handsome man. And this is a Global Reporter going, what the hell is this headline? Ridiculously handsome Ontario astronaut.
It is a pretty silly headline, but welcome to our reality, guys.
Because I think every other woman was going like, no, that's what I thought too.
Been there.
But anyway, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, everybody's had sort of a weird, ridiculous.
But it's awesome to have a Canadian going to the moon. And
Indeed.
It was nice to see his little Canadian flag on his astronaut outfit or whatever you call it.
They were all on the Stephen Colbert show this week, and I'm super. There's big pride around seeing a Canadian head off to the moon. We'll be following along. And speaking of Canadian change makers, later on the show, as Linda mentioned, you will meet a Canadian change maker, a Canadian making big waves and history on the runway of all places. We're going to welcome trans male model Crow Kean to the studio.
I'm excited about it. And when we come back, Vancouver police under fire. From the downtown east side decampment to a melee in a Vancouver park over trans rights. It is a challenging time to be in law enforcement.